We interrupt our program with a special bulletin.
Right, first question. Very easy. All right, first question. In your day-to-day lives, do you use violence to solve your personal problems?
No.
Probably.
Probably. All right.
Like if we're being like to slap her.
All right. So it'd be, violence would be defined as placing a person in an involuntary position without their consent or choice. Right? I rape, murder, theft, and assault.
Oh no.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
No, you can have playful, things with
yeah,
each other, like with
okay.
siblings, right? Boxing's consensual, right?
Right.
Let's agree to the rules. No ear biting, Mike Tyson, nothing below the waist, right?
Right.
And then we can box, right? That's consensual.
Yeah.
All right. So the second question would be, with the exception of self-defense of yourself and others, would you consider it then wrong and immoral to initiate that force?
Yeah.
All right. And then the last question would be, would you also consider it wrong and immoral to violently force your ideas onto other people?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
No, there's like-
No, I was thinking. I just want to. Yeah.
I got some people on my.
Yeah,
All right,
that's
perfect. All right, so just some of your day-to-day lives, you have a plurality of non-violent solutions you apply and use to solve your problems, right? You have this personal moral integrity against that violence. And as a community of individual people here in Richmond, though, we're taught the only way we can affect any kind of change or make any difference, though, is through government, through politics, through voting, they say, right? So people vote with their ideas, opinions, and preferences, and how best to solve that community problem. And in effect, you elect a politician, right? Mm-hmm. That politician, his or her only job is to legislate those ideas and opinions then into law. Mm-hmm. And then those laws of opinions are then backed and enforced by the police at gunpoint. Right? You could take government opinion that cannabis is bad for everyone, right? If I were to smoke a plant, I'd be kidnapped, arrested, thrown to a cage, a prison. And was any point of refuse or resist because I don't agree with that opinion and try to escape or run away, I'd be met with more violence or sometimes shot to murder, right? Yeah. At the same time, government is being funded through more violence, though, because at no point can you say, I do want to help the poor, right? But I don't want to fund war, right? You have no freedom of economic choice. You still have to give government your property. You still have to give up your money. You still have to pay your taxes. Because if you did have a freedom of economic choice and how best to spend your own money, how best to allocate your own resources, government wouldn't threaten to send you to another cage if you didn't pay your taxes, right? So this is how this organization then called government is immoral, and that this organization then only knows how to solve problems through one way, a singular way, and that's through the threat of and use of violence to solve any problems versus the plurality of nonviolent solutions that us three already share. What do you think of that?
I think you're spot on.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've always had this, like, the way I like to phrase it is like, I have my rights, and then you have your rights. And as long as you don't infringe on my rights and I don't infringe on your rights, like, we're good.
We're good, right?
We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you can do whatever you want with your rights as long as they don't affect mine.
Right.
And so, I think that really connects with, like, everything you just said.
Yeah, absolutely. So like under government, they'll say that's not your house because you owe us property taxes. That's not your land because through eminent domain we can take it any time. They'll say that's not your body, and they'll force like uterus ultrasounds, right? If you want to, get an abortion, for example, right?
Yeah.
Or if you want to use any kind of chemical on your own body or ingested, right? In a free society, so that's coercive. That's the way government works. In a free society based on consent, then you have thousands of free societies based on your preferences, based on your choices. So now you can have an apartment complex that's 420 friendly, one across the street that's not. But in all these societies, though, there's real respect for body ownership. There's real respect for property rights, right? That's your clothes, that is your camera, right? That is your house, that's your car, that is your money, right? So there will never be any coercive interactions, right?
Yeah.
With government, there's no contractual relationship, right? You can't show me a contract with government.
Yeah.
Right, but you can show me your contract with Netflix, with AT&T, with Hulu, or mortgages or whatnot. Right, that's consensual. Like, I like the terms and the terms and agreements here. I consent to the consequences. Right, my responsibilities that are outlined. Right, great. I'm good to go. Right, in a market though, you have a lot of people competing to offer you the same thing. Under government, is only theirs. Right, you have no freedom to cancel and subscribe. You say, you know what, I don't like your service of security, right? I don't like what you're providing me. Can I cancel and subscribe? They'll say no. Well, can I compete entrepreneurially to say I can provide you a better service that's not going to be abusive or harmful to you, the consumer, and they'll still say no, right? Yeah, they don't like competition, right? It has to be only the government's way, and anyone who competes, they'll say, well, that's illegal and criminal. It's like why it's illegal, for example, for anyone to compete against the post office. The post office has a monopoly in delivering a first-class mail, pieces of paper. This is why FedEx, UPS, DHL can only deliver packages. Yeah. They want to get in the market, but the government says you are not allowed to compete against us.
Wow.
Right.
I hadn't even thought of that.
Right? I mean, so that's why, like, when you see, like, the post office boxes, UPS, they take care of the private property, right? FedEx, look at the UPS box, USPS is, like, rusted, it's broken down, right? It's you go in their post office, they remove the clock so you don't know how long you've been waiting in line. And that's government for you, right?
Wow.
So, like, you started off talking about violence. Do you connect that? Like, how do you define immorality? Because I guess I was expecting you to, not saying that this is bad. I was expecting that to go a different direction.
Right,
I guess
yeah.
I'm just trying to see how you connect, like, violence and immorality, because as someone who, like, has a very deep interest in, like, history and whatnot, I've read books that really make me think about situations and circumstances under which violence can change one's morality and can just alter a society's, like, perception of what is moral and what's not. So I guess I'm like wondering how you make that.
Okay,
link.
I think that's a very great question, which is why, like, I don't start off the bat and say this is moral or immoral, right? I actually what you consider, right? Do you consider it wrong and immoral in your day-to-day lives? And I find that universally, a majority of people agree that they don't use violence in their day-to-day lives. They find that to initiate it is wrong, and to force their opinions using threats of force is wrong too, right? Yeah. So that's, I guess, what the first three questions convey. Asking you what you consider to be immoral, right? So you've defined it already. Yeah. Right. So you've defined it that it's wrong and immoral to initiate force. Mm-hmm. It's wrong and immoral to violently force ideas. It's wrong and immoral to violate consent. Right. And these are all the same errors in which government is founded on. Yeah. Violating consent, forcing ideas, right? Using violence to get their way. Yeah. So that's where the connection comes, right?
I get that part.
Right. So like because the thing is, government has done a good job hiding that violence from us, right? They use different language. They'll say it's wrong for you to steal, but we'll call it taxes, right? They'll say it's wrong for you to murder, but we'll call it organized war, right? When there's like terrorist attacks, when someone foreign does it, but when the United States government does it, we call it collateral damage, right? Drone bombing families and weddings overseas, right? So that's different language because they don't want you to universalize and see it for what it is, right? They have to hide it and mask it.
Okay, that makes sense,
right? So I think it's very important to have these conversations because I don't want to be misled or tricked into violating my moral values, right? I want to live a consistent moral life, right? A virtuous life, right? But the last thing the government wants is that consistency because they're based on inconsistencies there. The language is inconsistent, right? The whole thing is founded on that. So if everyone knew the truth, then they'd realize they never need a government that has been tricking everyone to go against their moral values, and then we'd create instead a real society that doesn't have politicians dictating your life. It doesn't have strangers telling you what you can and cannot do with your body. We'd have a real society that could be prosperous, that's rich and diverse with all these different interests, that has finally, though, real respect for each other, though, like you were mentioning, right? Yeah. Respect for each other's way of life, right?
Exactly.
And that's what I want, right? That's the future that I want to see, that I want to live in.
Awesome. And I'd love to see that too.
Right?
that sounds great.
Right. So the organization I'm with is called Liberate RVA. Liberate us from tyranny, right? Okay. So it's non-political. So it has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with the Democratic, Republican, or the Libertarian Party. I mean, we find that, the fact that we were born as tax slaves, as you were, right? Like when you were born, you never gave consent for Social Security, but they use you as collateral to fund it, right? And when it's time to retire, there'll be nothing left for you, right? But so it's the idea that babies can get consent. Come on now, right? Yeah. So this is an organization that seeks to abolish government by just ostracizing it, just creating our own community, a peaceful society that respects each other, right? And then from Richmond, one day we can grow large enough to have that free society, and we can just ignore government away and it'll just disappear, right? Wow. So there's nothing about violence or anything, it's just removing your consent, right? Your participation in that system.
So, like, in theory, you think like a society, I guess, under anarchy would be.
Yes, right. Okay. So anarchy means without rulers, right? In this context, political rulers, like or a stranger dictating what you can and cannot do with your life or body, right? Like a politician can dictate that to you, but you can't tell the politician the same thing, right? So it doesn't mean without rules, though. We can have rules, right? But rules that you give explicit consent to, right?
Wow. Okay.
Right.
That's, not what I.
Yeah.
It's like anarchy,
of course.
and then just like.
Right, I mean, of course, government wants you to think the other way because they want you to say that we're savior from the boogeyman, right? They're the boogeyman themselves, right? So, they have to change the language. They have to change a lot of the terms, and they can never give you really good definitions for it. They'll tell you, like, the social contract is like, well, show me the contract. I've never seen it. I've never signed it, right? I was like, oh, but it's a theory. I was like, well, show it to me. They can't. But you could show me a real contract, right, with real services that do value your consent, right? And if you say, you know what, I don't want to deal with you, Netflix, like a couple of years ago, they raised the prices overnight, and people are like, cancel and subscribe, I'm going to Hulu, right? Yeah. And they're like, oh, we're sorry, but you can cancel. You can remove yourself from any harmful relationships, right? but government won't let you separate from them. That's the abusive relationship that I find to be intolerable, right? So yeah, anarchy. So very good, very quick. Yeah. So yeah, we're part of a group called Liberty RVA. We have over 100 members now. A lot of families, children, a lot of BCU students as well, and just trying to grow this out. We're on our 4th year now, growing with that, and we do like a lot of like monthly gatherings, weekly discussions. I have some flyers. If you guys are interested. Here we go.
Thank you.
I'm very much interested.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Wow, you guys are very spot on on this. Yeah, that's great. What are you guys studying?
I'm a music major.
Music major, nice. Played trumpet in high school, marching band.
I was sociology.
Sociology.
Now I'm like, I don't know. It's
Right.
kind of floating.
Yeah.
I don't know. Blame it on the government, right?
Right. Yeah.
No, I'm joking. Yeah. Doesn't.
You'll get there.
Ask me in like a few weeks.
Right. Well, thank you so much for
Thank you
coming
for
by.
this.
Yeah, I'm Cal.
Thank you.
Delvita.
Delvita,
Yeah.
pleasure.
Abby.
Abby, pleasure.
Yeah, it was really nice
You
talking.
too. You guys take good care.
Revolutionist, I blast. Refuse to kiss ass quick fast. I'm ready to mask cause of my tormented past. Swallow the pain, follow the mental terrain. It takes a hell of a man nowadays to maintain garments bloodstained. Face bruised and battered, eyes reflect agony of dreams that were shattered. It never mattered to the so-called general public about my nation's situation and how we rise above it, and they love it when we self-destruct and kill a home. And the greater responsibility, yes, is still our own. We should know by now that the system is designed for our demise. If we have lives, we'll be left behind. The dollar signs rule. But what about the fool who falls victim to the material world?